All right, welcome to Winning Over Depression. I am your host, Tamara Trotter, and as always, I am so very happy that you are listening to my podcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you about long suffering, but I also want to talk to you about how we are all feeling with COVID-19. And so a lot of us are under a lot of stress and strain. There's been a lot of death around us, and so that's something that affects us all adversely. But there are some key steps that we can take in order to get past this and be brighter on the other side of it. So my question to you is, what will you do once the COVID-19 pandemic is over? What have you learned? What has touched your heart during this time? And what can you do to contribute to society and make the lives of other people better? It's unfortunate that we all to come together during times of crisis. It's much better if we think of each other during times that things are going well. We are resilient as a society, but if we could just learn to change some of our ways and do some things differently, society can be a much better place in which to live. So ask yourself, what will I do differently when the COVID pandemic is all over? What have I learned? And what are my next best steps? Long suffering is a strength and not a weakness. As I speak of long suffering, I am specifically referring to this term from a biblical standpoint. Oftentimes, trials and tribulations permeate our lives, and it may seem as though we are standing alone. We feel we are by ourselves to deal with the blows this unfair life deals us. The reality is, we are never alone, even when our darkest hour has come and help is nowhere to be found. Long suffering shapes our character and tests our absolute faith in God. So right now, as we're going through the COVID-19 spreading across the world, we need to keep the faith, because long suffering teaches courage, but also teaches patience and endurance, equipping us with the wherewithal mentality of what we need to do to overcome obstacles, defeat the enemy, and to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God will never forsake us. He's been here this far, and he is not going to turn his back on us now. We have all been sufficiently equipped with all we need to fulfill our purpose on the earth, achieve our personal dreams, and annihilate anything that would keep us from our best. You possess the courage, fortitude, inner strength, and stamina. The stamina required to complete your life journey. Don't give up. You must stay the course and avoid distractions and pitfalls designed to derail your future plans and successes. You have the opportunity now, while you're staying home, to get out that piece of paper and pen and start to write out your life plan and the goals that you want to achieve for your life. It is essential that you fight every day to keep your eyes on the prize. The prize is happiness, freedom, and the fulfillment of your potential. Long suffering will become your biggest testimony. You are close to a breakthrough and the pouring down of blessings from our Heavenly Father. It may seem hopeless, it may look bleak, it may look impossible. But against all odds, there's nothing too hard for God. God moves mountains, divinely intervenes, and causes enemies to build you up. Long suffering will get you where you should be and take you places you never imagined. You are far too important to Almighty God to stop short of receiving all that He has for you. I implore you to continue going above and beyond when you feel unappreciated and continue giving from your heart of gold. God will pour you out a blessing where there will not be room enough to receive it all. So the first question is, will you be ready? I know right now there's many people who are suffering from depression and anxiety. Some people are suffering for the very first time. So here are 10 things that you can do to survive depression during this COVID pandemic. Stay busy. Stay busy at home, exercise, get sunlight every day. Perform at least 2 tasks that are productive every day, no matter how small they may seem. Exercise for at least 20 minutes every day. And if you can't do every day, start somewhere. Start with 1 day and then 2 days and then 3 days. Be compliant with your medication. If you take medication, don't stop taking it. Pray and believe in your healing, the healing of your loved ones. Because hope is never lost, because God has the final say. If you feel like committing suicide, find 2 accountability partners. And when you're feeling down and out, give them a call. Promise me you'll give them a call. Expose yourself to at least 15 minutes of sunlight every day. Allow yourself to be sad. There have been sad days for the last few months because people are dying every day, and it's difficult. So it's okay to be sad, but just don't marinate in your sadness. Think about being sad, pray, and keep pushing forward. Accept and realize that depression is a disease, that there's nothing wrong with you, and that even though you face what seems to be an insurmountable task, and you have to be proactive every day in dealing with it, you can do it, because we all can survive, defeat, and eventually conquer depression as long as we keep living. We have got to stay in the game of life. Be encouraged, my friends. Don't give up on yourself, because your friends and family will certainly not give up on you. I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Thank you so much for listening. I now have over 1,000 subscribers, and I couldn't be happier. So please, pass this podcast on to a friend so that they can hear the lessons and the value in when over depression to your trouble. Okay, so I've talked to you about long suffering and 10 ways to survive depression, but I also wanted to spend a little bit of time talking to you about how those who suffer with the mental illness have to rise to the occasion. Have you ever heard anyone say, he or she surely did rise to the occasion? They really made it happen. Well, guess what? Someone who suffers with depression, and I want to be able to put it in context for you to help you understand better, that person has to rise to the occasion every day. Those people with the mental illness must rise to the occasion every day. Think about that for a moment. What if you had to rise to the occasion? And I use the term rise to the occasion because when you have a mental illness and you still have to go to work every day and provide for your family, you still have to attend events, do things that most of the time you don't even feel like doing, it is really difficult to rise to the occasion every single day. Because the depressed oftentimes have what's called a splintered mind. And they are plagued with the fact that for them, just getting up in the morning is difficult. And it takes extra effort. Individuals who fight to suppress feelings of sadness do that because they don't want to seem like the sad person all the time. So they have to consistently and constantly rise to the occasion. Because every night that they lay their head down, they have no idea what the next day will bring. They are prayerful, hopeful, and optimistic, but invariably, the cloud of depression comes to steal their joy and plant seeds of doubt that are watered with hopelessness, despair, and fear. Somehow, the depressed mind must muster up enough strength to see light at the end of the tunnel, exercise their faith, and remind themselves that giving up is never an option, even though oftentimes they want to give up. They want to stay in bed. They want to call in sick. But they find a way to mask their feelings and smile for the world, even though they are sick with despair. Anyone who has a friend or loved one with depression should be commended, especially if they care enough to learn about the disease. You are appreciated more than you may realize because mental illness is plagued by stereotypes and false assumptions. The depressed individual fights for normalcy and relishes the day that they are healed from this doom. Most of us must take medication for depression or mental illness for the rest of our lives. Because if we don't, we have headaches, upset stomach, sometimes nausea. So if we don't take it, we don't feel good. And sometimes if we do take it, we don't feel good. So when someone tells you that they suffer with a mental illness, take it seriously. Don't take it for granted. Because I know exactly what it's like. There are so many clinically depressed individuals around you every single day. And many of you would never believe that they are emotionally sick. Be encouraged before passing judgment about the mood or attitude of others. You must take into consideration that they may be suffering with a mental illness. There are millions of undiagnosed individuals who are afraid to seek help due to stigmas and perceived weakness. Depression is a silent disease, as I've said many times, because it is not seen the same way as a cold or the flu or diabetes or a thyroid condition. But the reality is, some mental illness stems from a chemical imbalance in the brain, specifically a lack of serotonin, which has a direct effect on mood. It is vital that we educate ourselves and do our part to eradicate the myths surrounding mental illness. Help those who believe they are depressed rather than ostracize them. Not only are depressed individuals fighting against stigmas, they are also dealing with individuals who have no understanding about this debilitating disease. Depression requires treatment or could end up devastating a family who missed all of the warning signs, if there were any warning signs. Suicide will become the number one cause of death this year, 2020. And we have children as young as 8 taking their lives due to being bullied and ridiculed in school. So a depressed individual has no choice but to rise to the occasion. Otherwise, they may never get out of their bed in the morning. It may appear to the person who lacks an understanding about mental health that the perception of weakness makes sense. However, consider this submission. Someone who suffers from depression must find a reason daily to get out of bed, face the day, attempt to function, be productive. They literally fight real feelings that are telling them to give in, stay home, don't take a shower, feel sorry for yourself, and just sulk. They have to dig deep to find the strength and courage to conquer all doubt and carry on despite their reasons to press on and push through. These events are all signs of victory and not defeat, strength and not weakness, resilience and not self-doubt. I have taken a proactive stance in dealing with my depression because I had no choice. But everybody isn't as strong as me, and I can easily see why someone might commit suicide because they just don't have the strength to keep going on. So please remember that depression is an epidemic that many of us face, regardless of our race, religion, color, or creed. Because depression does not discriminate. We are all subject to fight this disease. So if you have someone that you know that wants to learn more about depression or thinks that people can just turn it off and turn it on, please share this podcast with them so that they can listen to someone who suffered from depression for most of her adult life, which is longer than 20 years, and still has symptoms and still has to be proactive every single day to keep pushing through. Because just because I have some ways that you can fight depression and get through it doesn't mean that I never have episodes of depression, because I absolutely do. As a matter of fact, working from home has been a little bit difficult for me, but I have to figure out how to rise to the occasion and how to push through, because my mantra is giving up is never an option, and therefore I must stay in the game of life. And I am asking you, stay in the game of life. Don't give up. It'll get better. Joy comes in the morning. I never want to end my podcast without thanking you so very much for listening. You can join me on Facebook. I have a group called Through the Eyes of Depression. You can also find me on Pinterest at TT Mental Health Expert. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, also called Win Over Depression. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, as well as Tumblr. If you would like to assist financially with this podcast, consider becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Tamara Trotter. That's TAMERATROTTER. I put a lot of energy into these podcasts, and I could really use an equipment upgrade. So anything that you can do to help this podcast continue is most appreciated. If you want to reach me personally, you can email me at youareworthit@yahoo.com. That's you_worth_it@yahoo.com. You are worth it. Okay, I will see you in the next podcast. It's coming soon. Thank you so very much for listening, and keep the faith. We're all in this together.